Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
Little Hen says it's time to rock and roll.
All you people are so scared of me.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Man, that's just me.
I'm Batman.
This is Sparta!
There is a tiger in the bathroom.
I'm an excellent driver.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
What have you told Stryker?
Everything.
The war has begun.
Hello and welcome back to this week's Monday Movie Show, to our DVD and Blu-ray section. Coming up in this part of the show, we have the UK DVD and Blu-ray top 10, as well as reviews of these new releases.
Shall I be cheesy with Les Miserables? Shall I? Are we going to dream a dream?
Please don't. I don't want to be like scratching out my ears.
I just did it there, I'm sorry. Yeah, we are looking over
Les
Miserables.
I thought you meant sing.
I'm not going. I can sing if you want me to sing.
No, God, no.
I'm not that bad. You know, we're looking over Les Miserables. There's documentary side by side. There's a small horror film called Dead Mind. Drama, thriller. I don't know what a Dark Truth is. Dark Truth.
You're kind of right there.
And comedy drama, Bringing Up Bobby. And we also have the TV movie of the week.
Yeah. Before that, though, let's go straight into the DVD and Blu-ray top 10, starting at number 10 with a double bill, Quartet and Last Chance Harvey.
Yeah, one thing there, just in the live chat, I think we might have a fight between two of them because they're talking about Rocky, and one of them says they don't like the Rocky films.
I don't like the Rocky films, really. I know of them and I acknowledge them, but I'm not a fan.
Okay, then. Let's get on to the top 10. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything about Quartet yet because it's later on in the chart. Last Chance Harvey, I haven't seen that film, so I can't comment on it.
Okay,
I know it's a Dustin Hoffman film, but that's it.
Number 9.
Have you seen Last Chance Harvey then?
No, but I wasn't reading it out. And number 9 is Star Trek.
Yep, the J.J. Abrams Star Trek. I'm guessing you like that more than Star Trek Into Darkness.
Yeah, I did. I don't hate Star Trek Into Darkness, but we know where I stand on it.
Yeah, if you want to listen to the review, listen back to the cinema section of the show. Star Trek is a really good film. It's a reboot that actually is really good. That's a really rare thing to see it, that a reboot is good. But yeah, it's a reboot that actually worked really well because instead of him taking any of the actors who've played characters in the Star Trek universe before in the TV series, he's decided to go with a much more younger cast and go with a story set before the original Star Trek. So it works really well.
I think as well, it's worth noting, Star Trek, that movie is the only movie that I can think of that is both a sequel, a prequel, and a reboot.
It's a paradox.
Number 8 is Ted.
Yeah, extremely funny film. If you don't find it funny, even I found it funny, then there's something seriously wrong with you.
Number 7 Alex Cross.
It's a boring, miscasted movie. They got Tyler Perry as the lead role in Alex Cross, and it was just really bad casting in that case because Morgan Freeman has originally played the character in Kiss the Girls and Along Came a Spider, and they work really well because they're very like thriller movies and they're interesting. This is just boring. It's just Matthew Fox is a bad guy who's just he's a terrible bad guy. It's just the film itself is boring.
Number 6 is Jack Reacher.
Jack Reacher, I know you liked it much more than I liked Jack Reacher. I thought it was just a bit of a bog standard film, to be honest. Very average movie. It was just one of those Tom Cruise movies where it was just very normal. That was the second film in a row that he had a film out on Boxing Day, because the year before that was Mission Impossible. Jack Reacher was last year, so I wonder if he'll have one out this Christmas as well. He likes movies that's released at Christmas, doesn't he?
Oh, when you said that All You Need Is Kill has been pushed back.
Yeah.
Number 5 is Pitch Perfect.
Which is not too bad. Better than I thought it would be. It's not as annoying as I thought it would be, apart from the Acker stuff, which I've constantly gone on about that they should have cut a lot of that out. I hope they scale that back for the sequel. But yeah, it's a decent enough movie.
Number 4, The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey.
Yeah, too long. I know a lot of people say that it's not too long. I think it is just way too long. It takes too much time to get into stuff, but it's good. But it could have been better considering the pedigree behind it, and it feels more like it's like a Doctor Who episode when you just have like a filler in between. Like you might have had 2 brilliant episodes, and then you get an episode which is just a normal sort of like basic bog standard episode. This is very much like that.
Number 3 is The Life of Pi.
Deserves all the plaudits that it's beautiful to look at. It's fantastically acted. The direction is fantastic. The score is brilliant as well. It's just a really brilliant film.
Number 2, new entry for Quartet.
Which for all it was Dustin Hoffman's directorial debut, he's played it really safe. It's got some really good acting in it. Billy Connolly is very funny, even though I find him great at times. And Dame Maggie Smith, she's actually really good in it as well, as a character who's a bit nasty. Specifically, there is a scene in the film where she pushes somebody down the stairs practically. But it's a good film about retired opera singers and musicians at this home where they want to put on a show to celebrate Verdi's birthday just so they can keep the place open again. Sheridan Smith, she's actually pretty decent in it as well. And so it's okay, but as a directorial debut, very safe.
Which means the number 1 film, new entry this week for The Impossible.
So glad this movie went straight in at number 1. It's a really important film to watch. Directed by Juan Antonio Bayona. Brilliantly acted. It's visually stunning to look at, even though that sounds a bit bad considering the subject matter about the tsunami that hit in 2004. But it's really well shot on a budget which it would make a lot of big directors cry. They'll look at Juan Antonio Bayona and think, how did you manage to get a movie out of a €20 million budget? And he managed to do that with aplomb as well. Brilliantly acted, emotionally draining at times. Very important film to watch.
Yeah, I completely. It's another one as well that we agree on as well. So, I mean, that tells you quite a lot too.
I'm getting stick in the live chat there for slating Billy Connolly. I know he's
awesome, no, you can't slate Billy Connolly. I don't know.
I do find him a bit annoying at times. But that's just at times, though.
Okay, no, we're going to go for an advert break, after which we'll come back and do some reviews.
Hey folks, it's Al the Bald Gamer Dude from Menage a Geek Podcast, and I'm here to ask you, what do you want in a podcast? Is it talking? Is it funny stuff? Is it 2 guys and a girl having a chat? Is it video game news? Is it movie news? Is it TV stuff? Is it just geek all out your ears and into your brain? If it is, then why are you not listening to us? We're on Spreaker, we're on Stitcher, we're on iTunes, we're on Twitter, all Menage a Geek. Menage a Geek. Listen to us.
So that's Menage a Geek, which should definitely invite you to listen to because they are genuinely quite funny. Let's go on to our first review.
Yep, it's Les Miserables. I know Gia in the live chat is waiting to hear what I thought about Les Miserables because I know you reviewed it in the cinema section when it came out, and I saw it then, but I only saw like putting my 2 pence worth.
I think it's amazing, but let's see. Come on.
Yeah, it's based on the novel by Victor Hugo. It's been turned into numerous amount of stage plays. It's been turned into numerous amount of films. And this time Tom Hooper, who directed The King's Speech, has decided to take a stab at it. Now, Les Miserables is entirely a musical. It's not like a movie where it's got musical numbers in it. It's entirely a musical. And for the opening of the film, it centres around the character Jean Valjean, who's played by Hugh Jackman. He's only known as Prisoner 24601. You see him in an absolutely brilliantly shot opening scene where a lot of slaves are dragging in a huge, massive ship. And here Jean Valjean's telling his story about why he's there. He's originally there because he stole a loaf of bread to feed his family. That's all he did. He stole a loaf of bread to feed his family. He got sent to prison because he's done that. He then ends up getting let out of prison, but Russell Crowe's character, who plays Javert, he's on his back constantly. He's on his back all the time. He's threatened to hunt him down. He will hunt Jean Valjean down to the ends of the earth, practically. And while this is happening, it then switches over to Anne Hathaway's character, who plays Fantine, and she's trying to survive in torrid conditions. She will try to get any money she can possibly to look after her daughter. People don't know that she's got a daughter. She works in this this factory, and they discover her secret, and she has to sell her body. She even has to sell her hair just so her daughter can survive. Something bad happens to Fantine, which then ends up. She asks Jean Valjean if he can look after her daughter. The movie then fast forwards when the daughter is now grown up. And Jean Valjean has got a much more stable life. He's a much more respected person. However, Javert is still actually hunting him down. He always has the memory of Jean Valjean in the back of his head, that this is the person who he wants to try and capture. He then runs into Valjean while at a town itself, and while all of this is going on, an independent war is broke out where the citizens of France want their independence. They want a bit more of a say, but obviously the army is trying to bring them down. He's now trying to play a clip from Les Miserables is a bit hard, considering that it's a musical. So here's a snippet from one of the songs in the film, which I think is up there with Anne Hathaway as I Dreamed a Dream. This is... Some people say it's the best song in the film. I think it's the second best song. It's brilliantly sung. It's by Eponine, who's played by Samantha Box. I think it's Eponine. Yeah, it's Eponine, isn't it? Why not? It's sung by that, and it's called On My Own. It's just a little snippet from it.
On my own, pretending he's beside me, all alone, I walk with him till morning. Without him, I feel his arms around me, and when I lose my way, I close my eyes, and he has found me. In the rain, the pavement shines like silver, all the lights are misty in the river. In the darkness, the trees are full of starlight, and all I see is him and me forever and forever.
So, my thoughts on Les Miserables. Now, I'm sort of in the same kind of category as Andy, who I'm not that overly fond of musicals. There are musicals, obviously, when I grew up watching things like Mary Poppins and stuff like that, but I was more interested in the colourful characters rather than the musical set pieces in it. So I'm not too overly fond of musicals, apart from the stuff that Matt Stone and Trey Parker do, because they're funny. This is just a spectacular film. Tom Hooper, what he can do with the movie, he does it on such a grand and epic scale. You practically forget that this is a musical. There are times when it can be just a tiny bit grating, specifically Amanda Seyfried's character, because she screeches her songs rather than sings them. But it's just a spectacular movie. The songs are brilliantly sung. Anne Hathaway's I Dreamed a Dream is the best version I've heard of that song. If you watch the film with her singing it, the amount of emotion that she puts in it can make even the toughest man cry. I have to admit, I did shed a tear during that scene, because it's so powerful. She's singing because she wants to provide for her daughter. She wants the best for her daughter. That's all she wants. And you feel the struggle in her. Again, with Eponine's song there, sung by Samantha Barks, she's fantastic. She has a brilliant voice, and she adds so much emotion into the song, because she's involved in a love triangle of sorts between Cosette, who's played by Amanda Seyfried when she's grown up, and Eddie Rimmond's character. And she just wants him for herself, because they've both spent a lot of time, and Cosette's just come onto the scene, and she just wants the love, and it's brilliantly sung by her. The whole film is gorgeous to look at. The musical numbers are absolutely amazing. Even Russell Crowe, he struggles sometimes alongside Hugh Jackman, because Hugh Jackman has such a powerful voice, but at least he gives it a try. He gives it a go, and he does give it his all. It's highly recommended. If you don't like musicals, then you do definitely seriously need to watch this. It's just brilliantly well made. It's brilliantly well acted and fantastic. I loved the film. One of the best of the year, as a matter of fact, in my top 10 films of the year.
I think it's probably going to be in mine as well, because it is just it's the thing as well. The way it's been done by Tom Hooper, he's been able to record the audio when recording the video as well, when recording with the cameras. So I think that's part of what is you're getting the emotion of the performance in the audio as well, which is why it's so powerful at times. And it is amazing that he's managed to do that and managed to evoke that response when you're watching it. So, I mean, we've even got people in the chat, I think it was Booger in the chat, who's saying that he's not interested at all, but sorry if it's not Booger, but I would say try and check it out, have a look at it, give it a chance, and see if you're not surprised.
I know that G in the live chat, he's a huge fan of it. I think if I remember correctly, he's seen the stage play itself. I know his wife it's one of her favourites, and he was trying to get to see the premiere of it. I tried my best to try and get him tickets to see the premiere of it. So I know that he really likes the film, and I completely agree with him on how brilliant this movie is. And it's surprising, me liking a film this much. It's a rare occasion that it happens, but this film, it's just, I think it's down to Tom Hooper. He's such a really good director.
Okay, I'm going to go on to Side by Side, which is a documentary. It's sort of written and directed by Christopher Keneally. It's about the whole thing of digital filmmaking as opposed to celluloid filmmaking, and the whole thing of the fact of that digital has now taken over and become the standard for how films are shot and made and edited and such. So the whole process now is completely different to how it started out with celluloid film, and the issues of how celluloid film has problems, or how one is more beneficial to certain things than others. It's introduced and actually voiceover, and you actually have interviews by Keanu Reeves, which is surprising of all people to have him on the film where he's discussing things, and he's actually discussing the film with some quite he's quite animated about his opinions as well on the whole thing of digital versus celluloid. And it's a case of that he's going through, as he's been making films and such, and he knows people in the industry, going around interviewing a lot of them about their views on the film. Here's a clip.
But I don't like the betrayal of dailies. I don't like going in and seeing and getting, swept up with a performance and then seeing go out of focus on a 25-foot screen and knowing that there's no way to retrieve that.
What I didn't like about film was that feeling midway through the day, end of the day. Did we get anything today? I don't even remember. Did we get? Didn't feel like we put the flag in it because you couldn't see. It's like painting with the lights off.
But the DP would tell you, it's not. The lights aren't off. It's in my head.
It's in his head. Well, that's great. But I'm operating the camera. I'm picking the lenses. I'm judging the performances.
So it's a documentary which is all about the opinions of people, but it also has sequences where quite detailed and quite actually quite well done details that explain how the how digital cameras work and how original celluloid cameras work with the way that the image gets onto the film or onto the digital medium, and it's very detailed in that way that for me it's very informative as someone who is interested in film, who is learning about film. And if you're not interested in it still, though, I think it will be interesting to someone who's just curious about it and not really want to know. But there's a lot of information here. There's also a lot of interviews with people that, if you're into films, you'll recognise. I mean, you've got James Cameron, Danny Boyle, David Fincher. You heard that clip there, Robert Rodriguez. You have... I can't think of all the names. There's so many people. I mean, George Lucas, especially as a person who's pushed for digital evolution. Christopher Nolan, and I mean Martin Scorsese. A list of well-known directors and people involved with film, and it's just honestly an amazing documentary that is informative and entertaining.
And Keanu Reeves actually shows a real interest in it. He's not there just because they thought, we need somebody big to do the voiceover, to do the interviews or whatever, because he produced the film itself, and so he must have to show some kind of interest in it. And he does. He shows a really interesting eye at it. It's not one of those movies where. Documentaries where you're going to think this is going to bore me because they're just going to yabber on for film about film for 90 minutes. It's really interesting. You do learn a lot. The amount of process that they went through, it goes from just down from basic film up to things like the Dogma era and stuff like that, where the directors were given a certain strict set of rules, of the fact that they could only shoot on handheld cameras, they had to have a budget like really small, and it's just the evolution of film and how much digital is affecting. There's sort of like, you might have the emotion of film, because standard film brings a lot of emotion. It adds to movies. I used to love sitting in the cinema watching a film where you saw the film green in the movie itself. I just thought it added something to it. When Super 8 came out, and the small little film that's in Super 8 when they shot the zombie movie on the small little 8mm camera, it's just so well done because it just adds emotion, and that kind of thing does that, and digital is killing that. It's also killing the projectionist, adding the human element to film.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things they have in here as well is an interview with Christopher Nolan, who is notorious for filming on film, on celluloid film, not digital. He wants to stay working on film. And one of the things that he points out is the fact that it's now getting harder and harder to do it because nobody is processing film anymore. Nobody is actually making film stock, so it's becoming harder and harder to actually be able to do that when he wants. And he thinks that then, as a result of that, the integrity of films and movies is being affected. But then there's other people who, like Robert Rodriguez, who is fully for digital because of the fact of the advantages he finds that it gives him when making a film and editing and being able to see things and making sure that it's filmed properly, it's not filmed out of focus or having problems. So it's a real good balanced sort of a comparison between the two formats. In the chat just now, Booger's asking, is IMAX on film or digital? IMAX is actually both. You can get both. There is an IMAX digital format and there's an IMAX digital on film. And the film, if you have the idea of, just to give an idea, the roll of a film, normal film, is about the size of a football, roughly, in diameter. The size of a roll that's an IMAX film is about the size of a person, a small person. It is literally maybe a meter across, a meter length on the roll of film. So I mean that's an example of how they've got to make that roll to be able, for every time there's an IMAX film on, or it can be on somewhere digitally. So I mean it's those kind of details that are in the film which are just eye-opening.
Yeah, it's a highly recommended documentary. We're 2 for 2 so far.
Yeah, this is scary, isn't it?
Yeah, I can book that trend now with the next film. I definitely will majorly book the trend with this next film. It's called Dead Mine, and it's directed by Stephen Schill. It's a HBO Asia original. Now, you hear Sci-Fi Channel doing small budget films and stuff. HBO in Asia, they've decided to do the same. They've decided to dip their toe into the movie business and release a movie direct to DVD. It centres around a group of explorers of sorts. They are trying to hunt down... Now, if I get this wrong, this will be a bit of a slip-up. But they're trying to hunt down the gold of the Yamashitas. Now, that honestly, that is the name of it. They're called the Yamashitas. Yeah, so I wasn't swearing. That's the name of these godlike creatures who supposedly have an ancient stashaway of gold. They end up discovering a mine, hence the name Dead Mine. They camp outside this mine just because a couple of them are sent into it to explore it to see if it's safe. They end up getting attacked by these group of, people, because you don't know if they're insurgents or whatever. They go straight into the mine itself, and the mine gets collapsed. They discover that this mine was sort of like a bunker for the Japanese army, the Korean army actually, and that one of them, who's been in there for 70 years, doesn't actually know that the war has ended. There is no more war that's going on. However, there is these beings that... Now, if you've seen Tomb Raider, Cradle of Life, you'll have seen... Or if you'll have seen The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, you know those statue things that are with the Dragon Emperor, the ones with those masks on it, etc.
Yeah.
That's what the Yamashita... Yeah, that's what the Yamashitas are like. They have these masks on, and they are these beings. Now, the film itself is god-awful. It's rated 18. It's supposedly because it's gory or whatever. It's trying to be like The Descent with these godlike creatures in there instead of... you might also say humans, because that's what The Descent were. They were sort of like de-evolved humans who could only live in the dark. These are sort of like got very similar feel to them, but it just feels miserably because the acting is awful. It plods along at such a laborious pace. When something does happen, you're going, finally, but then it starts to plod along again. It's really badly paced. It's terribly acted. It has one of the stupidest endings ever. You have... in films, you might have an ending. It's actually, I put this down to Resident Evil, the previous Resident Evil film. It was an open ending because it was leading into the next film. And you know that there is going to be a next Resident Evil film because it's already been announced and it's out September 8th, 2014, if I remember correctly. This has an open ending. And you just don't give a crap, to be honest, because if you think that the original is so bad, why would you want to watch the sequel? You just wouldn't want to watch the sequel. I don't even think that they will have any money to make a sequel. So just don't watch it. Do not watch Dead Mine, even though it's got enemies in it called the Yamashitas, which might make you laugh for a second, but I just giving you that away on here. That's the funniest thing. It's terrible. It's atrocious. It's bad. It's awful.
So it's bad then, yeah?
Yeah, Yamashitas. There you go. There's one more for you.
I'm going to go on to A Dark Truth, which is directed by Damien Lee. It's a straight-to-video release, which is a movie starring Andy Garcia as Jack Bogosian, who is at the start of the movie we were introduced to him. He is a host on a late-night talk show, radio host, basically, which is a general talk thing. People phone in to discuss certain things. Normally, as you see at the opening, talking about just things in society, what's wrong with society, that kind of general late-night chat shows that you have. It's then revealed that in the meantime, in another country, there's actually a company which is setting up water filtration plants and stuff. Something has gone wrong there, and as a result of that, people become ill. And the local general of an army has led all his men on a huge massacre of this town to keep everyone quiet about this problem, because he's making dealings and making money off of this company that is working on this water plant. Back in the US, Andy Garcia's character is contacted by sort of an old friend, as you could say, who knows him from his days previously when he worked in the CIA, to make him an offer. Here's a clip.
Yeah. Eat much these days, Jack?
Not really.
Some civilian wants something checked out in Ecuador. Good money.
You take it.
Still got a price in my head down there. Take a flight, look around, fly back home, file a report, pick up a nice check.
What's the matter?
I don't think so.
You can't outrun it, Jack. You ought to know that by now.
I don't like you, Clive.
No, you don't like anybody who knows what you did.
Come on, let's pick this up. Come on.
You forget. It was for a good cause.
It wasn't for a cause, it was for vested interest.
Take the job.
I got a family now.
You're marking time.
I've already hung up, Clive.
So he eventually decides that he is going to accept this offer. He meets with the woman who is looking for him to go, which is played by Deborah Kerr Unger, who is one of two families, a brother and a sister who are running this company. The brother is the one who has been involved in all these nefarious dealings in the other country, in I think it's Guatemala, and she's, though, been completely unaware and is now becoming aware of it. So he decides he's then going to accept the offer, go over there and try and find this person, Francisco Francis, who's been told, who is the witness played by Forrest Whitaker, to get him out of the country so he can then be a witness and explain what is going on there, and the company's been involved in basically a mass genocide. It's a movie which is, I mean, it's straight to video, and you can see why. It's not bad, it's just not especially well constructed. It feels very amateurish at times with the way it's shot, with the way certain things happen, and considering from the look of it, it looks as if it's been filmed in lots of other places, so it looks as if it's had a budget, and it's had people behind it who've been able to work on it, and it's got the potential there, but it just doesn't live up to it. Andy Garcia is not bad in it. He has these moments where, because he has a past to do with the CIA where he has done something, and you can see that it's affected him, and he's kind of ashamed by it, and that comes through in his performance in scenes where he doesn't say anything. You can see it on his face, and it's well performed. Forrest Whitaker is in it, although kind of you don't really know why. Same with Eva Longoria, who's in it as well, with him in the sequences where they're on the run from the soldiers in this other country. But it's kind of, why them? You don't need them in it. You don't need these actors. You don't need Forrest Whitaker in it because he doesn't really do anything in it. It's just, it really is straight to video. And I mean, if it had been released in cinema, I can imagine it would get awful reviews because it's just not cinema material. It's watchable. It's predictable. You get to the end and you're just like, okay, I watched that for the hour and 40 odd minutes that it is, and it really could have been half as long and twice as much better. It just doesn't work as a film. I just don't know why it doesn't work, because it has this potential. It just didn't live up to it.
Okay. Right, final film, bringing up Bobby. It's directed and written by Famke Janssen. It's her directorial debut. This is the first film she's written as well. You'll know her from like X-Men and things like that, so you know who Famke Janssen is.
And last seen in Hansel and Gretel, Witch Hunters,
which is a god-awful film and out on DVD and Blu-ray in a few weeks' time. It stars Milla Jovovich. This film was originally made in 2011. It's only decided to see its way now, direct DVD. It hasn't gotten a theatrical release over here. And it centres around... she's from the Ukraine. She's a Ukraine vagrant, actually. She's escaped from the country with her son. She now lives in Oklahoma. She's one of these con artists. She tries to support her son as much as she possibly can by doing like real bad cons on people, if it just getting herself injured to try and get money and things like that. One day, her son Bobby has run over by a car, and he's put in hospital. The car is driven by Bill Pullman's character, Walt, and she's thinking, yes, we've hit the big time here because he seems to have a lot of money. However, the authorities end up catching up with Olive, who's Milla Jovovich's character, ends up catching up with her because she has getting out of the Ukrainian. She has getting out of the country, and she shouldn't have. She shouldn't have escaped from the country where she was, and so she's put in prison. And Bobby is put in foster care. Bill Pullman's character decides to adopt him and brings him up properly. Once she gets out of prison, once Olive gets out of prison, she's got a decision to make whether to try and change her ways so she can provide a better life for Bobby, or because he's got a really good life with Bill Pullman's character, she should just leave him with that, and he might be better off with them rather than her. Now, it's a directorial debut from Famke Janssen, so you've got to give her a tiny little bit of leeway. When people do directorial debuts, you give them a little bit of a chance because they're trying something new, and unfortunately, this just doesn't hit the mark. It's one of those movies where Milla Jovovich, she tries her best, but I think after doing things like Joan of Arc earlier on in her career and The Fifth Element, she was an actress which showed promise, but she gets typecasted so badly now because of things like Resident Evil and Ultraviolet and stuff like that, that whenever you see her in a movie that isn't the typecast that she is, you just think to yourself, no, you just pass it by. Because it's just, no, I don't think Milla Jovovich can do that. and she needs proper parts written for her, and this is not this. Her part is not really well written. I think Famke Janssen has a bit of trouble with writing characters. She needs help from somebody. It would have been much better if she had somebody else on board to write the script with her and write the story with her, because it would have been a much more interesting story. It just plods along. It plays like a typical movie of this ilk. And yeah, I agree with Booga. Mila Jovovich, she can't act in the movies that she's giving. She's fantastic in Joan of Arc. She's really well. She does a really good job in Joan of Arc, and she's not too bad in The Fifth Element with the character that she's got. It's a tough character to do. She's just typecasted now.
Aren't both of those as well Luc Besson as well, which she was who she was married to at the time?
Yeah, she's just now she's married to Paul Anderson, and he just throws her in every single film that she does, The Three Musketeers and Resident Evil, etc. So she's just typecasted now. She needs a breakout role, a bit like Jim Carrey, going from comedy and then doing films like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind or The Truman Show. He can act. He's a really good actor if he's given the chance. And I think the same can be said with Mila Jovovich. This is not the case, though. It's just a really bog-standard, basic film.
Okay, let's go on into your TV movie of the week, then.
Which is The Craft. It's on 5-star on Wednesday, the 15th of May at 9 o'clock. Now, the whole reason... I looked over the TV guide to find out what was out over the next week, and it's actually a pretty weak week, to be honest. And I saw it was either between Daybreakers, which is a decent vampire film, or The Craft. And I loved The Craft. It came out in 1996. And it stars Robin Tunney and Fairuza Balk and Neve Campbell. Neve Campbell, I think she was just about ready to do Scream, or she'd just done Scream. I think she was just about ready to do Scream. But they're all really good, and it centres around a coven of witches, and they end up getting powers and sort of like misuse the powers, specifically Fairuza Balk's character. She gets drunk with power. It's really well acted. It's an enjoyable film, and well worth the watch on Wednesday the 15th of May at 9 o'clock on 5-star.
I think I'm just going to throw out a couple there as well, because we have been sort of throwing out more than one movie of the week for television each week. But I'm just going to say Man on Fire, Friday night on Film 4, 10:55, which is a Denzel Washington film with Tony Scott, which is quite a harsh but good film. And then Saving Private Ryan on Saturday night at 9 o'clock on Film 4, which is just, I mean, you can't say anything more than that. That says it all. So there's those options there as well.
Saving Private Ryan sort of like spurned Band of Brothers, didn't it?
It did, yes. But it's just one of those. It's Spielberg at his best, and it's just
Tom Hanks as well.
Yeah. That's it for this week's show. Thank you for tuning in to us, listening to us live, guys in the live chat. You know who you are. Anyone else who's been listening to us on anywhere else we're posted, like YouTube or iTunes, please give us a rating if you feel free up to doing it. Give us a comment or something. Let us know what your views are on the show. Some shout outs before we go. We've got followingthenerd.com was our friend Mark, and Following the Nerd, who does this show live on Thursday nights at 9 o'clock. You can find out how to access their feed on their site. Lolacourse.co.uk is our friend Bouncy Ball. On Lolacourse has a Lolacourse in your lug holes, which goes out sort of semi-regularly. I think he's on a break now. I don't think he's doing it anymore. I think he's on a break now, isn't he?
There was an episode there last night.
I didn't catch that. I have to catch up on that. From Page to Screen, a friend Stuart, another Stuart, it's from page, 2 screen.com. And also you heard the ad during the middle of the show, or during the middle of the DVD section, from Al Ball Gamer Dude on Twitter, and Menage a Geek, which is a gaming podcast as well. So that's
not just gaming.
Not just, but largely. Now we're back again next Monday at 7:30 live. We'll be going through all the latest, again, movie news, some reviews of cinema releases and DVD releases. I'm sure I'm forgetting something.
You've got Vote Saxon07. Find him on Twitter. He does the Doctor Who stuff for Following the Nerd. Fantastic. He's brilliantly insightful when it comes to Doctor Who and all the toy reviews that he's doing. The thing that we always mention every single week, which is the Serum Foundation, Jay, who has been in the live chat. He's the one who's in charge of the Serum Foundation. Please check them out, serumfoundation.org.uk. And no Star Wars news, Booger. No more Star Wars news. What's our movie of the week, though?
You know what I forgot? Yeah, movie of the week. I was just thinking, that's what I forgot. What's yours? I'm pretty sure I know what yours is going to be. I know what mine is.
At the cinema, Star Trek Into Darkness on DVD, Les Miserables.
Well, yeah, true, DVD, Les Miserables. But for me, it's Mud. Mud is a fantastic film, which it seems to be getting more of a release now. So if it's on at your local cinema, consider going to see it. But thank you for listening to us. If you want to check us out at all, mondaymovieshow.co.uk. You can also follow us on Twitter. I'm at AHDVD. Stuart is at Cryptic Tadpole, and you've also got at Monday Movie Show. Until next Monday at 7:30 again, where we'll be live with all the latest things. We're going to leave you with this clip from Michael Bay's upcoming Pain and Gain, which sees it's released on August 28th and sees bodybuilders Dwayne Johnson and Mark Wahlberg planning a heist. Until then, bye-bye.
Right.
Sorry, gentlemen. Police use only.
Tampa PD, brother. It's okay.
In that case, I need to see badges.
We're retired off the job, and now we're doing security for a rock group called Striper.
Okay.
Never again will an oppressor overrun my people, but now I am keeping watch.
That's the gospel.
When people say Christian rock sucks.
Who says that?